Some of you might have picked up on a few things by now, and might be wondering to yourselves, isn't that guy a Narukami main? Is he really the right kind of person to be covering Panther? Well, if you put it like that...
Nope.
Honestly, it's a miracle I even made Narukami work in the first place for me. And that footage was only about, 4 years ago? Well, I guess that's enough time to pick up a few new tricks and all. The real reason I picked up Narukami, and not a melee brawler like Panther, wasn't because of compatibility, but it was so I can exert tactical control over the battlefield, and be a contributing team player, and not a battle-drunk, Panther. Anyway, I can promise on my pride as a veteran duelist, a skirmisher, on my honor, as a Kurzspell, and even on that stupid nickname as Sensei, that I am at least qualified to cover the fundamentals of this class, just like always. So, let's get started. You know that first time when you launched the game and you immediately hopped into the training room? And then you activate that Alyssa's training bot so you can learn how to play the game? And then it just immediately starts whacking you over the head with its pointy stick and you're panicking, trying to figure out how to parry it? Good times, am I right? No? Well, after enough time and experience, you can learn when the bots like to melee rush you, and you can even learn how to bait players into rushing you into your own parries. But, until then, I'd recommend that you just spam your shield if you're looking to parry the opponent. I guarantee you that 50% of the time, it works every time. Just press and hold that shield button for a little over 2 seconds, and then release it. And then immediately hold it again for 2 seconds. 50% of the time, every time. By now, you've probably poured hours in practicing your parries, and can now perfectly shut down those pesky level 5 melee bots without even batting an eyelash. Now, forget it all. 80% of the fighting occurs in the chaos of the battlefield, where crossfires of lasers, bullets, and missiles are whizzing by all around and blasting you left and right from every which angle. You don't have the luxury to worry about parrying a single melee target here. You need to survive, and to do that, you need to keep your shields up. If you stay out in the crossfire for too long, you'll soon find yourself looking at the respawn screen. As a melee specialist in a battlefield chock full of lasers and missiles, you need to start employing hit and run tactics, dipping in and out of cover and performing more flyby rushes than a falcon would. Fortunately, Panther's lance charge is perfect for this, dragging both you and your target a little ways away from all the chaos and giving you just enough space to regroup and charge up again. So now your shields have been built up protecting you from all the crossfire, and you have no more means to protect yourself from stray laser fire or to parry oncoming melee attacks. So, what do? The answer is to drop and drill. If you've ever played Genshin Impact, you might be familiar with the character named Zhao. And just from that name alone, you probably know where we're going with this. If you haven't...
Lament!
In order to consistently perform drop attacks on target, try to maintain an absolute maximum distance of anywhere under 200 meters, and maintain at least a 45-degree angle above your targets. Drop attacks have the property of being unparryable and immune to melee clashes. They're the perfect substitute for using your shield to parry, and Panther has the extra energy reserves to always make sure that they can get the drop on all the other melee mechs. After confirming a drop attack, you now have the perfect setup to follow up with the drill for a nasty 1-2 combo. In its current state, it's not a 100% true inescapable combo, but once you learn how to perform drop attacks flawlessly like a Zhao does, you're going to feel like it is. And to top it all off, you'll also have some protection from the enemy's line of sight by jumping and floating above them. You know how the saying goes? Gamers don't look up. That's because it's a freaking pain to twist your neck around 360 degrees just to track all the tiny movements that they're making above you. As a melee with the shield, you might be under the misconception that your role in this game is to activate as the vanguard of the team. Let me just say it straight up. You'd be dead wrong. As we covered before, Panther is a duelist and a skirmisher, specializing in 1v1s and hit and run tactics. As a melee specialist, your job is not to lead the charge for your team, but to assassinate all the DPS classes of the enemy squad. Panther's primary targets in this game are Inferno, Hurricane, and Stego. All three dish out DPS to entire enemy teams, and all three are vulnerable to melee attacks. And with no convenient primary target left for you to hunt, you can start turning your attention to the flyer units, Falcon, Sky Raider, and Aquila. It definitely defies common sense to think that you try to use a knife to bring down a bird, but Panther has both the mobility and the energy reserves to make it happen. You'll be wheezing and gasping for breath at the end of that engagement. But you can take those fights that the rest of your team can't. Now, I've gone through the trouble of making a section specific to fighting flyers, since they can be so troublesome to hunt down. But to be frank, most of what you do is no different than fighting any other land-based mech. You melee boost to catch up to them, then you slap and poke at them until they blow up. That's mostly what sums up a melee versus air fight. If you can take the height advantage on an airborne unit, then you can get the drop on them, quite literally. We're going back to the good old reliable drop and drill combo, but this time, we have to add an extra drop attack on the flyer, because the first drop attack will slam them back into the ground. But we'll still be up in the air, so if we don't drop again, we'll just be drilling nothing but empty air. This is how we deal with flyers the majority of the time. We use the melee boost to ambush them, and immediately follow up with the drill attack, and finish them off with a few quick slashes. Problem here though, is that it's easier to escape the combo from a regular slash than it is a drop attack combo. So, if the flyer reacts fast enough, they can dodge out of it. So instead, you can try two different things. One, you can stop your melee boost from hitting the flyer first, and just go straight into the drill attack. Or two, you could proceed to just continually slash the flyer in an attempt to bait out their dodges, and then you go for the drill attack. Pick your poison. The other melee mechs, Elusinus and Welkin, have enough energy reserves to sustain about 30 seconds of intense brawling before they completely run out of energy and have to limp back over to cover. Because Panther comes equipped with extra energy packs, they can sustain a fight for about 60 seconds of non-stop melee action, before they completely run out of energy and are left vulnerable. However, if you play it more conservatively and rely on your drill more often for both attacks and movements, you can stretch Panther's active combat time to near infinity, thanks to Panther regenerating its energy naturally, as well as through its extra energy packs. In contrast, Elusinus and Welkin can only extend their active combat time to about 45 seconds, if they're using both their energy wisely and efficiently. That being said, you might not have the luxury of always micromanaging your energy this precisely in the chaos of battle. But it is a luxury that you can gloat over literally every single other mech in the game. Just remember, lots of drills. Just like snipers, even melee fighters have the option to turn off their aim assist, accessed from the same controls menu for the mouse and keyboard, or whatever control interface you're using. Despite this, most of the time, I will never turn it off. Even if I'm hunting down a hurricane that's camped around their nest of shield drones. I can usually just adjust my angle to work around or even straight through those decoy shields and directly to the hurricane. The only time I would personally turn off the aim assist as a melee is if my target is hunkered down right next to a Tricera, the absolute tankiest brick house that a melee fighter can stumble across in this game. Yeah, a good Panther can whittle down and even eventually kill a Tricera, but it'll take you a million years to do so. A million years that those DPSs that you should be hunting down are using to blast the rest of your team into a billion pieces. Oops. And there you have it. Those are my 7 tips and tricks to help you get started with Chris Kwok's favorite mech, Panther. Now, go out there and wreak havoc out there on the battlefield, just like Panther Bot would.